Good afternoon, David.
Good afternoon. How you doing?
No bad yourself.
It's ages since I spoke to you. At
Aye,
least 3.5 nanoseconds.
at least 10, well, I think the first time was at 10:30 this morning. Your father-in-law phoned me.
No, that was my technological system decided to actually wake you up because
Well, as you know, I'm up at 7 o'clock to have a look and peruse the news, so it wasn't that big a thing. But it's interesting that your father-in-law's network and your network's the same.
yeah,
So he
but
thought he was calling you, and because
no,
of your
that,
network, he was calling me.
that needs explaining. The farm-laws echoes have been set up in my house, taken to his house, and then set up so that we have the ability to say, "Can you drop in on Dad?" Right? And it gives a communication link, which is easy. He can operate it, and we can operate it. But as of late, what he's started to do is he's got uh, drop call David,
Aye, and of
and
course, we need your network.
yeah, there's a directory inside it.
Aye.
And you're included in the directory, because sometimes I call you. Sometimes I call you on the phone. I just say, whatever the name is, to wake up in a circle, right? And I just say,
Sometimes it's normally it's normally about 5 past 11 every morning, except for Saturday and
I
Sunday.
know, no, sorry. Sometimes that's with the telephone I do that. So,
Anyway, I guess we are going to business.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, it's quite busy in the room.
How many you got up there?
See you on. Let's say hello to a few of them, will we?
Yeah,
Hi,
how many you got? What's the
right.
number you
Hi,
got?
Jeanette. I've got 86.
86, right? Okay.
Right. Hi, Boss Brayford. Hi, Stephen Kelly. Hi, Stephen. Um, shit, I just said Stephen McNeil. What else we got? Stephen Bankier. We've got Lorna McDonald. Hi, Lorna. How are you, sweetheart? I hope you're keeping well. John,
Laurie Hay.
Chris Fisher,
Yeah.
Margaret Mackay, Stevie Charlton, Kirsty Folds, Lorna Shields, Jim Stevens, Charles Campbell, Stephen Nichol, Laurie Hay, Barbara. Hi, Barbara. How are you? Nice to have you with us again. Right. Carry
Ginger,
on,
Ginger,
everybody. Let's say Francis McKenna. Hi.
I understand that Ginger's going to run up against Trump. So should be Trump anymore.
Aye, no bother. Hands over fist. Anyway, right, David, let's get into this because it is a current affairs programme, so we'll get current affairs. First up this afternoon is an SNP bad story on the BBC Online Scottish Politics page. And the headline, Clyde Welding School back on track after UK government pledges 2.5 million of public funds um, as Scottish Enterprise says, nah, we're not giving you any money. What do you make of this one?
I once worked for Post Office Telephones. Post Office Telephones had their own education site, which was a huge part of Edinburgh, right?
Uh-huh.
We went to all the courses and all
Aye,
that
I
stuff.
know, it's in Granton. I know what it is.
You paid for, right? And it doesn't matter who it is, private company, whatever, right? They pay to get their people educated, right?
Yep.
Rolls-Royce were trying to do what other rich buds were doing. They've got so much money in the bank, and they think, we're not going to spend any of that. We'll try and get the government to spend money for us.
That's the interesting thing. Now, as we know, the Scottish government's getting an embargo, a moral embargo on not giving money to munitions companies
Yes,
and
weapons
arms
manufacturers.
companies.
Yeah.
Now, as we know, Rolls-Royce is an arms company as well as other things, but it produces jet engines, it produces weapons. So Rolls-Royce were told no by the Scottish government on moral grounds. The
Mhm.
UK government are stepping in to give 2.5 million quid of public funds to a company who wants to train its employees to do its work. on an £11 million project on the Clyde.
So the news headline was what?
The real headline should have been 100
No. What was the news headline?
million.
Yeah, what was the news headline?
The news headline was that the UK government has stepped in because the Scottish government wouldn't give a grant to Rolls-Royce to build their training school on the Clyde.
Yeah. Well, as far as I'm concerned, Rolls-Royce have been training people for years. My dad was employed by them as a miller and turner, right?
Aye.
So, and at the end of the day, it's like the Rolls-Royce are frankly cheeky. But what I would say even more cheekier is the newspaper that put this nonsense out.
Well, actually, it was the BBC, but that's beside the point.
Cheeky.
But let's have a wee look at what Rolls-Royce is worth. So Rolls-Royce is worth 100.25 billion.
Yeah.
The shares at the moment have dropped a wee bit today. You can see coming up in red. You're getting an update in the shares every couple of minutes here, folks. And they're worth £1,177.60. David, do you know how much Rolls-Royce shares were worth when they were floated on the market?
No idea.
20 pence.
But don't forget, they went bust in 1971.
Aye.
So that's why Rolls-Royce, I know they're called Rolls-Royce Holdings PLC.
Yep.
The public limited company thing only came in the 1980s, right?
Yes.
They used to be called Rolls-Royce brackets 1971 close brackets limited.
But here's the question. Why would a company worth 100.25 billion need public money to set up their school to train their employees and other employees in the west of Scotland?
Because what they do is they employ lots of people in these sort of positions, and these people, to try and justify the position, to come up with ideas like that. They go, "Oh, look, let's not have the company do that. Because it's training, we'll get the government to do that."
But why should you and I pay for them to set up a private school?
Because Rolls-Royce employ people to think up ideas like that, right? And as far as I'm concerned, even Westminster should not have given them money to do so.
No, of course they're £100 billion corporation. They can afford to set up their own fucking training school.
That's dead right. Absolutely. So what I would say is, get the posters made, and we'll get up there. We'll get a protest group up in front of the Rolls-Royce. Where's it? Hillington, right?
Yes.
And we'll get a protest group actually set up. Pay for your own training.
Yes.
Mr. Royce.
Pay for training you. Pay to train your own employees, Mr. Rolls-Royce.
That's it.
Anyway, let's move on. This next one's a fucking stormer. And by the way, folks, this will be related to something else we'll talk about later on in the programme. Right? But Sarwa, Liverpool, telling the Labour Party conference that the SNP is knackered and out of ideas, and that Farage is a poisonous little man. And then he conflates the size of waiting lists in Scotland by 160,000 people to make it in line with England. And he then accuses the SNP of embezzling £5.2 billion.
All of them is just sour. And I go, right, fine, forget it, right? But that particular one, that rips my knitting. And it really does, because that is, you go, it's libelous, it's spoken, but because it's recorded, yeah. Nowadays, you can count that as being defamation as well, which were a really, really powerful case in court.
Well, I'll play it.
Recorded. Yeah, please do.
I'll play it and then we can break it down.
Yeah. So I should be taking the court for this.
A UK Labour government delivered record funding to Scotland that the SNP could have spent improving our NHS and our schools. Since the election, they have had an extra £5.2 billion to spend. £5.2 billion. But what have we got to show for it in Scotland? Where has the money gone? So what have they done with Labour's record budget settlement? 880,000 Scots on an NHS waiting list. 100,000 patients waiting for over a year for treatment. And record numbers are having to shell out and pay privately to get the care they need. Where has the money gone? We need to stop the SNP embezzling Scots with their incompetence. And that's why there's a stark choice.
Right. The word he used there, embezzlement, right? 5.2, right? Can I say something here, right? Crown Office, get a forensic tent up in front of John Swinney's house straight away. Embezzled 5.2 billion. You're not going to do it. You're not going to, you're not going to do it. That's because what Sarwar's saying is wrong.
What I need to point out is interesting because that speech has been doctored since you and I first looked at it 2 hours ago.
Is that right?
Because when they go to embezzlement, what came after that just disappeared.
Yes, I'm not surprised.
That's why I stopped the tape.
Yeah.
Because that is the tape that you and I watched 2 years ago.
Right.
They tried to cut out the embezzlement thing.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for that. And that is, thanks very much, Lewis, by the way, young fella. They tried to cut out the embezzlement thing, but didn't quite manage it. The embezzlement stayed there, and then the reason that's supposed to be the embezzlement and shows where the money went was the in there. Why was that bit cut out? Because where the money goes is a matter of public record.
That's right.
Sarwar knows that.
Yeah.
The Labour Party knows Sarwar knows that.
Yeah, you understand. He's trying to use it for political aggrandizement, right? Mm-hmm. And basically puts him in a better position. But that's his money, if you like, for doing the job, right? Also, when he does that, and it's recorded, so therefore it's recorded and all the rest of it, it's not just libel, it's defamation.
And slander.
And slander and all the rest of it, right? And you take them to any court and you've got actual proof of it, right? Because at the end of the day, it's like we'll just watch the movie. There'll be someone in the SNP that's recorded that and they've got the original details on it. I can assure you.
Should have screenshot it myself, David. Should have downloaded it at the time.
Yeah, we should have. Yeah.
Because that is different, folks, than the link that Dave and I initially put up.
Yeah. Now, don't worry. It's like that will be there. Don't worry.
Sarwar shouts embezzlement and show me the money.
However,
where did the money?
I'll get bad news for people. If you think that John Swinney and co are going to take Sarwar and the Labour Party to court over this, you're on the wrong route.
High pitch music.
At the moment, this close to a conference, and this close to a major election in Scotland, they are not going to rock the boat. They're just going to stay as it goes, and they're going to get through it, right?
That's a mistake. They should sue his arse.
Well, at the end of the day, it's like one can imagine that the thinking on it is really straightforward. Because if you do take them to court, then you got all the questions up of we still haven't got answers on Nicola Sturgeon. She took 600. So you can see where the
I can see
areas, and it's all brought up again, right?
Yeah, but it's already known Nicola Sturgeon's not being charged with any crime.
But we know that. But still in all, the smell's still there. And
that's why he said such a thing, and that's why the SNP should sue him.
Yeah, I know that.
It's on public record.
You've got to balance it up with the amount of people in Scotland that will watch the Labour conference.
Oh, fucking 2 to none.
Yeah, right. There you go. Let it go. don't rock the boat, head just towards an election where unless the SNP do something bloody daft, they're going to do well of it.
What was interesting about the Labour conference was that was the least poisonous fucking speech of them all.
Oh, don't get me wrong. It's like you had all kinds of speeches come through on the Labour conference. I understand where it was pretty nasty in places, stupid places, you know.
But
So
the political party is stealing 5.2 billion from the public purse publicly is mental.
But the actions of the Labour Party are to take those words that Sarwar spoke and change them or cut them so they cannot be used. The Labour Party themselves realise that
they're in big trouble. And for us to make such an accusation when the public finances are open public records, which any one of us can look into, is an absolutely absurd claim.
Yeah.
Absurd claim. Because his Imperial Masters audit our books.
Yes.
So to claim that the SNP have stole or embezzled 5.2 billion from the public purse is outrageously bad.
Well, it wouldn't be mentioned at a conference. It would actually be mentioned in the House of Commons, at the dispatch box. It would be done as an, and we understand that the SNP have embezzled £5.2 billion from the public purse, right? And they'll be talking after that, and John Swinney and several of the SNP ministers have been taken into custody as a result of that. You know, so this is not something that should be mentioned. It's not something that would be mentioned at a conference anyway.
Well, it wouldn't be mentioned in Parliament. They think they can get away with it in conference, but the problem with conference is you don't have parliamentary privilege the way the Scottish Parliament doesn't have parliamentary privilege. And actually, Sarwar should be reported to the parliamentary authority for that.
Oh, yeah, but understand this. Reported or not, the SNP aren't going to do anything about it because they are too scared at the moment of upsetting the horses.
Well, I think they're wrangling that. Anyway, let's move on. Well, Sarwar's doing there, bumming up how bad the SNP are on sorry, I didn't mean move on. Let's expand on this. Now, while he's doing there making the claims that there are 800,000 people on waiting lists in Scotland, you find out he's exaggerated by 140,000. But he's storming in England, describing poor public services in Scotland when they're markedly better. Now, how do we know? Well, let's have a look. How many people are actually on a waiting list here in Scotland?
The problem is...
Hold on, I'm going to put it up, David. As of June 30th, 2025, there were an estimated 639,579 individuals on at least one NHS patient's outpatient day case waiting list in Scotland, which represents approximately 1 in 9.
Right.
Population. Wait a minute, let's get to the bottom of this. Now, how many people are on an NHS waiting list in England? So let's stick that up, shall we?
Yeah, go on.
7.4 million cases in July 2025, which includes 6.25 million individuals per capita sort of thing. We're waiting for treatment. This number includes 2.87 million patients waiting longer than 18 weeks, with roughly 190,000 having waited over a year. Now, Sarwar's claims, of course, was 100,000.
Yeah, can I just get bits of information are in the when they talk about something over a year, right? They don't hold any figures for more than a year.
Yeah, but we're looking at this per capita share here because
but in England, I want you to know.
So
You're
600,000,
going to be on a waiting list for 3 years.
right?
You would drop off the table. Simple as that.
Well, let's look at it this way. We're looking at per capita.
Yeah.
And if we're looking at 639,000 times 10, I'm sorry, it comes short of 7.4 million.
Yeah, I know. I appreciate
So
it.
therefore, the situation in England is still worse per capita than what it is in Scotland. Yet here we have Anna Sarwar, the Labour leader in Scotland, talking down Scottish public services.
But you've got to look at it. Every time somebody in England has a cup of tea, it's made with water filled with shit. So there you go. That's the reason why they got more people on the waiting list. I'm only kidding. Sorry, guys. I'm only sorry. I couldn't avoid that. It was a good joke.
Oh no, it could well be relevant, but let's boogie along because this next one's interesting. First Minister John Swinney says ID scheme is an attempt to force Scots to be British.
No, looks like, yeah. The Brit card idea, originally Blair's idea, right? Okay, that's right, okay. And what you don't want is, and a card, say identity card, and I went to Switzerland as a kid, and I had an identity card, right? But it was just a card with a Swiss cross on it, right? That sort of thing, right? And in the story, that was it. This, however, is a piece of electricity, a credit card, but everything's on it, right? And it gives you the ability to control. So, for example, I know this guy called David McGuinness, and he's always saying things online that's against the British government, UK government, right? And it's like, what he do is, it's Brit card. He has to present that when he goes for his shopping, right? He has to have that. It's linked up with his bank account. It's linked up with this and that and the other, right?
Criminal record.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it's like they will control. That will give them the ultimate control over you, because you better be a good boy, otherwise they're coming to fucking get what you've got, right?
David, I know you missed the end of the programme this morning because your father-in-law had come in.
Yeah.
So you would have missed the bit where I said this isn't going to happen, and tune into Two Davies to find out why it's not going to happen. Why has it not happened under the last Prime Ministers that floated it?
It was a vote killer. Of course we know that.
That wasn't it at all.
Well, go on then.
When Tony Blair first floated this idea, the legal team smacked him right over the head with something called the Good Friday Agreement.
Right, yes. Fair enough.
Because you're going to have to force half the Northern Irish population to identify as British as opposed to Irish.
Yeah.
And at the same time, what John Swinney was saying here in Scotland was 72% on the national census identify as Scots only. And you want to enforce a British identity on it?
Yeah. No.
But the legal thing that stopped it from happening are the last 5 troubled Prime Ministers that have come up with this idea, including the producing ID to vote under Boris Johnson, is the Good Friday Agreement.
Well, no, the technical reason why you don't want it is because you are giving the government of the day, which are dreadful at holding and storing people's information, private information, right? So you talk about Facebook or whatever, right? All these companies are good at holding and storing personal information unless you sell it, right? Whereas the British government, if they hold information on you, well, your blood, definitely get rid of that. Yeah, give that away. Any other information, it's like, I'll go out there. So you imagine you've got a Brit card, but it's got all of your personal information on previous criminal cases, traffic
Infringement.
Yeah, whatever, right? Infringements. The law, everything's on there, right? And it means then that your information is just fair game for everybody.
Well, that's the other thing. If we look at the organisations that have been hacked lately, the Co-op, Rolls-Royce, Land Rover, why would the government be any better at keeping our information secure?
Well,
But more importantly, David,
the government already got national insurance number. That allows you to go for a job. National insurance number, right? Which when you go in, you get a new job. Last from the accounts that make up your wages. They phone you up and they go, "What's your national insurance number?" You give them it, and that allows them then to get previous information off the tax office regarding you, right?
Yep.
So, and if they want any more information of you, they've got passport and driving license. There you are. That's it. End of story.
And birth certificate. Don't forget the birth certificate.
Right. True. So at the end of the day, they don't need anything else.
No, they already have all our information. And believe it or not, people here in Scotland, they store more information about our citizens than what they do in England and Wales. Because the minute you're born here in Scotland, something happens that doesn't happen in England and Wales. You get allocated an NHS number. So they don't just track your work history and things like that, they track your health.
Your chi number.
Yeah. So sometimes it's not a bad thing. But at this particular point in this intersection of Starmer's unpopularity, he's floating an idea that's been floated by the last four prime ministers who thought that it would make them popular, including Boris Johnson, who introduced ID for voting. There wasn't any voting.
The Boris Johnson idea was the amount of fraud that was going on with voting, right? But in actual fact, it was found out very little fraud was going on with voting.
26 cases and people try to use dual identity in the last election.
However, if Boris Johnson had asked for specific information on Scottish voting, right, they went, right, fine. Then they got back to the referendum. They go, oh, fuck, right, we better not publicise that, right? Anyway.
But as I say, I mean, the idea of the national ID scheme, so that it shows you've got the right to work here and it would shut down the black market and all that. It's obviously these people in Westminster don't understand how the cash economy works.
Yeah. Even if you get rid of cash, right? It's like the people that are coming in here to get the money for doing washing cars or whatever they're doing, right, in the black economy, right? They'd be paid in other ways.
What's the base of the cash economy?
Yeah.
You've got a skill I need, I've got a skill you need, we're neighbours, we're pals, we exchange a wee bit of money and the tax man doesn't get to know about it.
Yeah.
Now let's expand that a wee bit to people who want to turn them into criminal enterprises.
Yeah, but also just...
The average criminal enterprise in the UK is a nail bar or a car wash.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, if you want to overcome that, right, you take a convenience store, it's owned by maybe an Asian family or whatever, right? Okay. What happens is they go in, they can have so many goods and all the rest of it to the value of what they're going to get paid. End of story, right? Then what happens is the owner of the convenience store reports all these things that never gets dealt with. It's stolen. End of story. There's ways, and there's ways, and there's ways, and there's ways.
But the ID scheme is just fucking daft.
I know.
I mean, there's a lot of countries issue ID to all citizens on birth. That's fair enough.
Yeah.
We do that.
Yeah.
Here in Scotland with your national insurance number. The UK doesn't do that. The UK issues a citizenship number, or sorry, a subject number.
No. Like you were right the first time. They say they issue a citizen number, right?
But
they get it wrong. Yeah.
And they issue that at the age of 16. Either you opt into society or you opt out by not accepting it.
Yeah.
You know, it's a pretty rigid regime. Either you opt in or you get no benefit from the society you live in.
Yeah.
So you have no choice. You either accept your national insurance number or you don't.
Yeah.
Right, we need to move on again because time's kicking on and we've got a lot to get through. So the next subject, David, is a good news subject for the SNP, and that's the sidelining of Anna Sarwar announced at the Labour conference by his Imperial Master, Keir Starmer.
Well, let's just look at it this way. The little problem that Anna Sarwar was going to present at the next election is even littler under Keir Starmer.
Well, the Labour Party have no confidence in Anna Sarwar to...
Scotland has no confidence in the Labour Party.
Yes, but that's why Starmer's coming up the road to lead this campaign himself.
Yeah.
Because at the last campaign, if we look at it, even though they won it, Sarwar lied to the people of Scotland, only to have Keir Starmer come up the road and slap him and contradict him.
Yes.
Now, Sarwar promised a settlement for the Waspy woman. It was, after all, a Labour mistake. He promised to get rid of the two-child cap, which actually is probably going to happen in the budget.
Yeah, what do you think? Right, okay.
Yes, I do. That
was okay.
I watched Rachel Reeves' speech today. And
Rachel Reeves is an honourable man.
I know.
To quote Mark Anthony.
I'm Scottish, no British. They can stick the spy card where the sun don't shine. Thank you, Laurie.
Laurie, that beautifully said, darling. Your words you use is perfect. Yeah.
But so the idea of these ID cards is just nonsense. But let's move on to the good news. Starmer really saying to Sarwar, get the fuck, you're unpopular.
Right, so let me see if I get this right. During the run-up to the Scottish election,
yep,
you're going to have Starmer here chapping doors. Oh, he's going to take over what Sarwar would do. I can imagine Sarwar would go out and do a degree of chapping doors. So is Starmer going to do that? Is he going to chap?
Because he says he's going to take over and
or he's maybe going to chap 3 doors where the Labour people have gone in and actually spoke to people. In your Labour? Oh yeah, I've been a Labour for years now. Fine, but we're going to have Keir Starmer come in. Is that okay? Yeah. So those 3 doors, you get it filmed. You'll be filmed in those 3 doors, and that'll be it.
It will be very well orchestrated, obviously, or choreographed. But as I say, it's a big slight on the Labour Party here in Scotland. There's a big slight on Sarwar because it appears through a statement made by him today that he's going to sideline Sarwar.
Yeah.
And that'll cut out the contradictions they had in the last UK general elections, where Sarwar was making promises to the Scottish people like saving Grangemouth, which they had named.
The thing is, though, the saving Grangemouth wasn't just Sarwar. The saving Grangemouth, I heard from other lips as well in the Labour Party.
Yes, sir.
Right, so it wasn't just Sarwar that said that.
No, but
yeah, if they intend to have it whereby Sarwar becomes their head that's got to roll.
Wow.
Then that's it.
Duncan, you're a star.
Oh man, heck. Duncan, what you do? Good afternoon, David, and also good afternoon down the rabbit hole, David. Well, I had my job on the 3rd of June and was given a P60 to give my next employer if I work again. Duncan, it's like you don't need
to decide whether you work again or not.
Please adopt me. I'm just an old pensioner.
I mean, I've been in a position a few times in my life where I was contemplating retiring.
Yeah.
As you know, David, I stopped full-time work for the last campaign.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when I left,
Well, both of us during the India F 2014, I think I earned a fiver that year. I must have lost thousands, tens of thousands.
well, from 2012 to 2014, David, you know, I spent 68 grand.
Yeah.
And you must have spent a couple of hundred.
Yeah.
Just loss of earnings and donations, you know.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, the stuff that you.
Amazing how it mounts up, you know.
Yeah, yeah. If you looked at it at the time, I mean, my goodness me, I must have bypassed so many contracts just because of that.
I'll tell you, we didn't bypass every fucking hat I've been on.
Yeah, you know. Never mind.
Anyway,
well done. Thank you, mate. Thank you very much. Right.
Thank you. Yes. Now let's move on to Welsh Labour, who are absolutely desperate as they're getting fucking hammered. It looks like Labour in Wales is going to lose the Welsh Senate.
Yeah.
They're going to lose it to Reform and Plaid.
No, Wales is going to lose Labour. That's it. End of story, right? And you look at the amount of stuff that's coming out from Labour in Wales, right? You think to yourself, not good, guys. Not good at all.
What brings us on to this is the way that Sarwar tried to belittle Scotland and the Scottish government. Well, it didn't match up to the Labour leader and First Minister.
Yeah.
Wales Lunad, I can't remember what her second name is now off the top of my head. But anyway, she tells the Labour Party conference that Plaid Cymru and Reform UK are two poisons out the same bottle. She then says that Reform UK blames all the problems of the UK on immigrants and that Plaid Cymru blames all the problems in Wales on Westminster. Not much argument there when Wes Streeton says all roads lead to Westminster, is there?
Yeah, true. And the one thing I've got to say regarding immigrants, as they're calling them, or illegal immigrants.
Irregular. They can't call them illegal. Irregular.
Well, whatever, right? Understand this, guys. AI is here. The knuckle draggers in England think that the immigrants are going to come and steal other jobs. I've been used to them. AI is definitely going to do that before we get a chance to.
Anyway, let's move on to the really funny stuff that this Welsh First Minister said. What she said was, if Plaid got their way, then the Welsh taxpayers would be £11,000 a year worse off. She tells the Welsh that they're being subsidised by England to the tune of £11,000 per man, woman and child.
Where did I hear that before? That was just before we had the referendum. Somebody said
£1,000, David. That's outrageous.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's just all they're doing is they're just using numbers to try and shock people. Like Starways, 5.2 billion. You know, at the end of the day, it's like.
How do you look at it, David? And you and I discussed this earlier. So let's have a look at the claims that England subsidises anyone, shall we?
Yeah, go on then.
UK's deficit on March 2025 was 151.9 billion, so 152 billion. Okay. Now, 13.7 billion of that deficit was allocated to Wales, meaning it was sort of Wales's share of Westminster's spend. Basically, they've been allocated that debt.
Just before you go on, aren't Wales under the same cost that we are?
They can't be running a deficit, that's correct.
Right, okay, so they've got 13.7 billion with a B, with a B.
Billion.
Billion.
Is their debt from Westminster.
Okay, carry on.
Okay. Now, Scotland has a 26.5 billion debt allocated for Westminster spend in Scotland.
Yeah.
Because
deficit, we're talking.
Aye.
Deficit. Yeah, right, okay.
Because like Wales, Scotland can't run a budget deficit. So it's allocated on what Westminster says they spend in Scotland.
So Westminster says, I bought a new train set and you're not going to play with it. And what we're going to do is you're still going to pay for it, though. Right.
This is your share of the cost, okay.
Right.
Now, Northern Ireland apparently runs a 12.8 billion deficit, and that comes to a total of 53 billion.
Is it worked on population share? Is it just when you work? I don't know if you had a chance to work this out there, but is it down to the population of each of these individual countries?
Can't be, David, because when we get to England's share of the deficit,
yeah,
it outstrips Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland's population capital.
Yeah, which is it?
98 billion.
Not enough. Not enough. Whoever it was that did those numbers is having a good chuckle to themselves.
Of course they are.
Because 98 billion, 1/10 of that would be 9.8 billion. Scotland is 25 point what? 25.6 billion, right?
6.5 billion allocated.
At the end of the day, it's like even working on that, it's not equitable because where we get a deficit from, real deficit from, is the balance of trade.
Yes.
Balance of trade has a large degree of working out on deficits, right?
Yep.
Scotland is an exporting nation.
Yes.
And England is a big importing nation. So the balance of trade figures for England are deplorable, awful. So therefore, they should have the majority of the deficit.
They do have 98 billion.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? On their way of working it out, they should have the way of working it out.
On their way of working out, they get to allocate their, so they get to estimate the amount of spend.
At the end of the day, the answer to the whole thing is, and I know I've said this before, guys, but I'm going to say it again. The answer to it is independence, independence, independence. If you want to stop this shite, then you got independence, independence, independence. Keep your eyes on the prize. Independence.
The point I make, David, is that if England's running the biggest deficit on these islands, they can't be subsidising any fucker.
Yeah, but we know that.
But the point is, the Welsh First Minister stood in that lectern in front of the Labour conference and told the people of Wales, you're scroungers. You're relying on £11,000 subsidy a year for England, which isn't possible because they run a bigger fucking deficit than the rest of you.
Well, let's look at that. Why on earth do we have someone who is a First Minister of one of the devolved nations of the UK downing her own people?
Well, because she stands to lose power. It's a bit like the Scottish thing when we had the first couple of elections here in the Scottish Parliament, where Labour won the first one outright, had to get into coalition with the Lib Dems in the second one because their popularity was waning as other parties offered better social projects. And that's why the SNP have been in power for the last 18 years, because they offer better social projects. I mean, I heard Rachel Reeves boasting the day about breakfast clubs and school meals for primary schools in England. That's been going on here in Scotland for fucking years.
Yeah, well.
Anyway, the point is, the Welsh First Minister telling the Welsh people that their subsidy junctions is just par for the course for a British nationalist. And a British nationalist that's cornered will shout, you can't, you're too wee, you're too poor, you're too stupid. Well, guess what?
At the moment, the jury's out on too stupid, because Right? Remember, we had people that voted for change at the last election and voted in Labour.
Aye, and they got the same fucking thing, but worse. Anyway, that brings us to the Labour conference as well, and Rachel Reeves' speech on the economy. And
Oh,
she
yeah.
says tough choices ahead of budget, hinting that there will be tax rises. But the question is, tax rises on fucking who?
Yeah, who are we talking about? Again, we're talking about pensioners. We know that they're gonna have a go at the pensioners, right?
Or working age, whether it be working class or middle class.
Right. Middle class, they're going to get it in the neck, right? Yeah, again, this is us just giving an opinion. It could be totally different on the day budget is eventually read out.
Well, you actually believe she'll tax the rich?
No, not the rich. Not the rich. Won't touch the rich. Might touch the middle classes.
Well, Labour were the first ones to really squeeze the middle class with the introduction of the fucking tax credit system.
Yeah.
I mean, you and I have spoken about this repeatedly, David. I don't think people quite understood what happened then, but we're not going to repeat ourselves. People can always look back to previous videos to find out our views on that.
Yeah.
You and I have over a decade and a half, nearly 2 decades to discuss this, and how this was as big a scam that ever happened to the British people. But, and there I'm using the word I wouldn't use because I don't believe in such a thing as the British people, but that's all encompassing when it comes to these islands. Anyway, she's up there telling us that there's hard choices ahead, but she's also hinting that the 2-child cap will go.
Well,
which would imply that the hard choices ahead will be a wee bit harder, but are we willing to soak it up to see children get what they need? You're fucking right, I am.
the thing is, though, what gets me is John Swinney, straight away, the people of England, their 2-child cap, maybe not. It should have been put straight on the table. We're going to get rid of the 2-child cap.
Should have been. After all, this is they're into their second year, government, and by April, by their own figures, by April next year, by their own figures, they will have shoved 500,000 more children into poverty.
Absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, the idea, and I understand this, and this is an awful thought, right? In Scotland, we've had this, and we've largely dealt with quite a lot because the amount of money that's given to each child each week, right? But in England, you've got the idea that kids go to bed hungry. That's what you can't believe that.
Well, Stephen, definitely agree there. We're going to feed the bairns. That's what we do here.
Yeah.
We feed the community.
Yeah. And also the amount of money the kids are given each week. That's important.
That's
very important.
27 quid a week is enough to feed a child.
Yeah.
Well, it's enough to feed a child well.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, it's like, okay, I can imagine there are certain parents that go on, get a quart of Spam and we'll have an extra bottle of vodka.
There will be the odd one or two, David, but that will be the minority.
I know. Appreciate that.
And we don't, and we are no fascists. We don't insist on controlling how people spend it.
Appreciate that.
We'll leave it to their morality.
Yeah, but at the same time,
as we feed the children.
Yeah, it should be that if you've got a child, you have to put that child first.
Should be.
Yeah.
But human nature being as it is, David.
I know.
But Reeves on the economy was a fucking disgrace. And I'll tell you what was even better at the Labour Party conference was the arrival of Andy Burnham. Stammer and Reeves both gave him a smack, which will only encourage him in their speeches.
But he won't do anything. I'll tell you now, it's like, it doesn't matter what Andy Burnham does over the next coming on. And you've got Brian, Super Chat, $4.99 for the Food and Baby Bank funds, Scottish, never British. That's my boy.
First up, folks, before we move on to Andy Burnham and his attempts, thanks very much for your generosity, and you too, Duncan.
And Laurie.
To let you understand, we're past the 26th. I was at the bank today for my own purposes, so I got a statement on, I got a balance on the Two Davies bank account, and it's sitting at £1,930.28. Now, 750 will leave the account over the next couple of days. As you know, as we build up to Christmas and December, where we give all the money to baby banks, no food banks, specifically baby banks, then we've already got £1,000 fund there, which is over the top of what our normal monthly generosity for you people would be. So hopefully, like last year, we can give them with £600 or £700 or £800 each.
Now remember, that's not us that have done that.
That's you guys.
You guys. You've done it.
All we do is administrate it on your behalf.
Yeah, wrong way. So, you guys.
Right, anyway, let's get back to Andy Burnham getting his arse kicked for each.
Yeah, it's Andy Burnham. It's just noise at the moment. All it is something extra for the newspaper to report on.
It really is, isn't it?
Because he's not going to do it. He's not going to do anything.
Well,
he needs for somebody to vacate their £80,000 a year wage in order for him to get in. Show me anybody in those labour benches that are going to give up £80,000 a year just for the sake of letting Andy Burnham in.
I don't think there's many.
I don't think there's even one.
No, but see, Andy Burnham, when he turns up at the Labour conference, he does he make it quite clear when he's asked questions about whether he's going to have a challenge or no, he kept stum.
I'll tell you what's going to happen at the next general election is Labour are going to get fucking trounced. Simple as that.
Well, which also brings us to interesting interview of John McDonald at the Labour Party conference when he was asked about Keir Starmer's position.
Don't like him.
I know you don't like him, David, but we still have
he put down Scottish independence, and it's like
that. Big hitter in the Labour Party. We need to talk about it. The reason why they asked his opinion on this, because he is a big hit in the Labour Party, and of course he was Corbyn's sidekick. Right? So John McDonald was asked, should Starmer move out the way? And what he says is, because he knows Keir, he thinks if Keir can't turn the polling around after the local elections in England next year and the Scottish and Welsh general elections, he will voluntarily stand down.
Yeah, we're actually talking about someone falling their own sword for honour. I don't think there's a 1 gram of honour in Keir Starmer's body. Something like that.
Now, folks, if you live in Dumfries and Galloway and you've got a food bank near you, make my life easy and send me information so I can give them money. Because I'm trying to get people to take money off me each month's fucking month.
Hamilton says, after the Super Chat £4.99, Andy Burnham, a middle manager remembered for his weird eyebrows.
We said that with John Swinney and all, but David. Because we don't pull our punches. Yeah. We don't pull our punches, and then people call us SNP acolytes and all that shit. You and I have been some of the worst criticism.
Seriously. Like, I've made a life out of being ugly. Something like that, you know.
Well, we spent the last 12 years criticising the party we support, so that's no bad. Anyway, let's move on. It appears that Trump thinks he's got a deal with Netanyahu to stop the slaughter of the Palestinian people. What do you reckon?
No, sorry.
No, I don't see it myself, actually.
Netanyahu is a mad idiot that's going to do what he does.
I
You
think
might say to Trump, "Oh yeah, definitely. Oh, wow, what was that? Oh, yeah, ceasefire, yeah." And then what'll happen is he'll start piling in more tanks, more troops. Now is it? And Trump phones him up. Now, I was just making sure we're tied up before we start the ceasefire.
and the news, of course, that Blair is being touted to be the leader of a Palestinian,
Well,
a Gaza authority, a transition authority.
you know for a fact, Blair, for a start, is definitely a war criminal. There are
Yep.
certain countries that he avoids because he knows if he steps into those countries, he'll be locked up, he'll be taken away and locked up.
We also
Right.
know he's part of Trump's fucking real estate plans for
Yeah.
Israel, because his real estate company drew up plans
Yeah.
for Trump's fucking paradise and the
And this, what was it? Also, Blair's son owns the company that's looking to produce the brick cards. I was read that, and that was I just read that just before coming online.
yes, I read that as well. Isn't that interesting?
Yes. So Blair, seriously, doesn't matter what happens. See, so much as we get Palestine sorted out, where Palestine, let's just sorted out. Blair, we're coming after you, son. Simple as that.
Aye.
We've got to come after you because we can't afford for you to be out in the world any longer. Simple as that.
Yep. As I say, but I mean, Blair being touted as being the next
Governor General. That's how he was the Governor General.
administration for
Yeah.
Palestine is horrible. Well, you still speaking, David?
No, it's all right. It's, Tony Blair, I remember him when he initially when he was up against Maggie Thatcher across the dispatch box. We were thinking to ourselves, "Oh, great! That's brilliant. This is going to be tremendous." And then when he got into power, all the things he's supposed to do to actually sort the country out, well, why not reverse all that stuff we had under the Tory party? He didn't. He simply didn't. And then when the war, the Iraq incursion took place, and they took years to produce the Chilcot inquiry, and eventually Labour were voted out under the idiocy of Gordon Brown. And then the Chilcot inquiry was actually discussed in the House of Commons, and people like Jack Straw and all the rest of it should have gone to prison over that.
Oh yeah.
There was nothing. Nothing happened. Nothing at all happened. And that's when I initially at the time said, if you're going to get somebody locked up,
Davey.
you get the police. You get the police. What's that?
Well, it says the Two Davies that they use.
It's one of your spanners. So
Well, that's definitely not one of your spanners.
Well, I haven't.
Only you and I can come up with Two Davies. It must have been you.
A wee bit for the fun. Can you, whoever did that, can you just put up your name properly?
Aye, me.
Right.
There's only you and I can appear as the Two Davies, so it can only be either you and me.
I honestly haven't, right?
No, I know you haven't. I did.
Oh, you did. You put up about it. All right.
Aye, because there's only you and I appear as the Two Davies. You're daft. They had to be one.
No, I thought the Spanners already had also had that.
Oh no, they come up with their own names. When Stephen Bankier came up with his own name. Anyway, we'll leave it there.
Right.
We were going to have a wee look at Ukraine. Trump's due to have a press conference with Netanyahu shortly. I don't know if it's happened because we've been alive, but I want to go and have a look.
Oh, also something for people to investigate. It is reported that Russia has fired one particular missile at Jerusalem, and it has landed. It's got in and it's destroyed. Yeah, it's destroyed a base in Israel, right?
Wow, Moscow.
No, yeah, Putin has fired off a missile, and the reason being is because the Israel are looking to attack Iran, and basically Russia has said to them, look, that one got through, and they were just don't give me any of your nonsense.
Wow.
Send more.
Eddie, thanks, mate.
So, but it does.
I know you next time I see you, buddy.
It needs investigating, needs researching. And Eddie, thank you.
Right, Dave, we're going to round that up. No, I'm going to work tonight. It's just that I need to go to the toilet. Yeah. And I need to go to the shop. I've run out of beer.
These old men, their bladders. What can I say? Anyway.
Such young men that like to stand at the bar and have a pint, dear boy.
Well, I can't stand. But anyway, that's beside the point.
Which was funny because earlier we were discussing height, and I said, well, you're taller than me with one fucking leg, for fuck's sake. Right.
Okay.
Up, folks, we hope you found it interesting. We hope you found it informative.
Yeah, again, guys.
And entertaining is more important. We hope you found it entertaining.
Time for independence. It is a solution, straightforward solution for all this nonsense that is coming our way from Westminster. And all roads do lead back to Westminster when it comes to that. And we need to offer them their P40. We need to give them their P45. So independence. Keep your eyes on the prize.
And at that, folks, we'll leave it. Brew me in beer. Fuck off. Walking to the shop's easier. Especially when you're as wealthy as me. Skint as fuck.
Right.
See you later, guys.
Bye.